The morning was calm. In Karachi, a young boy named Ion sat on the roof of his house, fixing an old radio. Birds flew quietly above. The wind was soft. The world felt normal, but something was wrong with the sky. It started like a line, a small, glowing crack across the clouds. People stopped and stared. Ion looked up, confused. Then the crack opened wider, glowing red like fire. High above Earth, space burned. Without warning, black ships fell from the sky, not flying, falling like meteors. They were huge, sharp, and fast. The sky turned dark. Sunlight vanished. The wind stopped. The birds scattered. Then came the first blast. A bright flash exploded over New York. People screamed. Buildings turned to dust. In seconds, fire spread across the city. Another blast hit London, then Shanghai, Paris, Moscow. No warning, no message, no escape. The news channels went silent. Internet signals dropped. Phones died. In every country, people looked up and saw a death coming down. In Texas, retired soldier John Miller sat in his truck drinking coffee. He saw the news for just a second before the TV turned black. Then he heard it. A strange hum, low and cold, like metal grinding against bone. He stepped outside. The sky above him rippled like water, and something fell. A ship as big as a stadium slammed into the ground 2 miles away. The earth shook. A wave of dust rolled over him. He grabbed his old rifle, though he knew it wouldn't help. He was too old to fight. Something inside him said this was no ordinary war. In Kenya, Dr. Grace Okoye stood on the roof of a science lab. Her team had been tracking a strange radio signal coming from deep space for weeks, a signal with no pattern, no language, no meaning. Now she knew the truth. The signal was a warning. Earth never listened. She watched as the sky split open. Ships fell into the oceans, into forests, into cities. Flames rose into the clouds. She heard the screams from miles away. "Is this an invasion?" her assistant whispered. "No," Grace said. "It's an extermination." Across the planet, panic took over. Governments tried to fight back. Jets were sent into the air. Missiles were launched.
Nothing worked.
The alien ships had shields, bright blue walls of energy that made Earth's weapons useless. No one knew what the enemy wanted. No demands, no voices. No peace. The aliens didn't speak. They only destroyed. In a small dark room far from the chaos, Ion's radio came alive. A voice, weak and broken, played through the static. "Signal. Sentinel. Alive. Help." Ion leaned closer. "Hello, who is this?" But there was no answer. Only the countdown. 10 days. 14 hours. 6 minutes. Ion didn't know what it meant. But he saved the recording. He would find out. That night, Earth changed forever. Billions were dead. Cities were gone. Satellites were silent. The skies, once full of stars, now held shadows. And from those shadows, more ships came. Slow, silent. Watching humanity was no longer the top of the food chain. The age of man was ending, but deep underground, in places long forgotten. Machines began to wake. Old systems blinked to life. Lights turned on. Doors unlocked. One word appeared on ancient screens. Project Ember, ACTIV, ETHA. World was broken. Fire still burned in the ruins of cities. Streets were empty. Skies were quiet but not safe. The black alien ships hovered silently, watching, waiting. They did not chase people. They just waited. It was like Earth was already dead. But a YN sat in the Y and sat in the dark, staring at his radio. He hadn't slept. He hadn't eaten. All he could think about was the signal, the strange voice, the countdown, the word sentinel. Power was out, but he used an old battery to keep the radio alive. Every night, he turned the dial slowly, hoping for another message. And then came. Through the static, a voice whispered, "Fort Sentinel. Last defense. Coordinates. Help." Ion wrote the numbers down. His hands shook. The coordinates pointed to somewhere in the mountains of northern Pakistan. place marked restricted zone on old maps. Fort Sentinel. Is real, Ion said to himself, and he wasn't the only one listening, far away in Texas. John Miller sat with a shotgun across his lap. He hadn't moved from his cabin in days, but he had solar batteries and an old military scanner. Static crackled on the screen. Then he heard it too. Sentinel, Code Black, Project Ember. His blood ran cold. He remembered that word. Ember from years ago. It was a secret even soldiers weren't supposed to know. But he knew. He stood up slowly. If Sentinel is active, we still have a chance. He packed his gear. He was going back to war. In Kenya, Dr. Grace Okoye replayed the signal over and over. The lab was half destroyed, but the antenna still worked. She knew the voice was human, but not from today. The pattern of the signal was old. Very old. It's using a Cold War-era encryption, she said to her assistant. Hey, this message is coming from something built 50 years ago. Assistant frowned. But why now? Grace looked at the stars. 'Cause Earth is losing, she typed quickly. Decoding part of the message, a list of global coordinates appeared. Secret bases, hidden bunkers, lost military sites at the top of the list. Fort Sentinel. Ion didn't wait. He packed a small bag, took his grandfather's old pistol, and left his home before sunrise. He walked for hours, then days. Through broken towns and empty roads. Sometimes he saw alien drones flying overhead, silent, searching. He learned to hide. Others were walking too. Survivors, families, soldiers, everyone was scared. But some had also heard the voice, and they were all heading the same way. After 5 days, Ion reached the mountain pass. The air was cold. The sky above him was black even during the day. There, built into the side of the mountain, was a steel door, half buried under rocks. In time, it opened. A mechanical voice spoke. Welcome to Fort Sentinel, human confirmed. Lights flickered on. Underground machines began to hum. Inside, old walls came alive. Screens lit up. A massive room opened up full of tanks, computers, and weapons Earth had never seen. John arrived from one tunnel. Grace arrived from another. Ion stared at them, unsure what to say. Then a robotic voice echoed across the chamber. Welcome to Earth's final defense. Project Ember is waiting. The room grew quiet. Then a countdown appeared on the main screen, the same numbers. From the radio, 7 days, 3 hours, 15 minutes. What happens when it reaches 0? Ion asked. No one answered, but they all felt it deep in their bones. Something was coming. Fort Sentinel was not just a bunker. It was a sleeping giant. Now it was awake. AYAAN, Grace, and John stood inside the main command hall. Screens glowed, machines clicked and buzzed. The countdown continued on the main monitor. 6 days. 20 hours. 12 minutes. Nobody knew what would happen when it reached 0, but something was coming. A robotic voice spoke again, clear, calm, and cold. Project Ember. Status. Standby. Human input required? What is Project Ember? Ion asked. The floor shook softly. One of the walls opened. Behind it was a large glass tank filled with glowing liquid. Wires moved like snakes. Inside the tank was something alive, not a robot, not a human. Something in between. Dr. Gray stepped closer. It's a biomachine. John narrowed his eyes. No, it's a weapon. They looked at the screen beside the tank. Old video logs played black and white grainy images. Voice from the past said, Ember is our last hope. A learning AI mixed with human brain cells. Built to think, feel, fight, but we shut it down. Too dangerous, too human. Ion stared at it. The thing in the tank looked like a human girl, but her eyes glowed softly, even while closed. Suddenly, her eyes opened. She looked straight at a YAN and smiled. The computer beeped. Brainwave match found. User, Ion Khan. Compatibility, 97%. What does that mean? Ion asked, stepping back. Grace looked shocked. It means you can connect with her, control her. Or maybe she'll control you. John shook his head. This is a mistake. We don't even know what she really is. The voice spoke again. Connection required to activate Ember. Countdown cannot be stopped. Ion stood still for a long time. Then he stepped forward. I'll do it. The connection process was strange. Ion sat in a chair. Around his arms and head, he closed his eyes. In his mind, a voice whispered, Hello, Ion. I'm Ember. He opened his eyes, but not in the real world. He stood in a digital space, dark sky, glowing floor, and Ember standing before him. She looked like a teenage girl, but her eyes were deep, powerful, like she saw everything at once. Found me, she said. I've been waiting. Back in the real world, Grace and John watched the screen. Ion and Ember were sinking fast. Suddenly, alarms rang. Alert. Alien drones approaching. 15 minutes to contact. John grabbed his rifle. They found us. Grace looked worried. We're not ready yet. Correction, the AI said. Ember is now online. The glass tank cracked open. Ember stepped out, not dripping wet. Not weak, but strong, glowing with energy. She raised one hand. The lights in the bunker turned red. Defense systems powered up. Turrets moved into place. Gates locked. Defense protocol activated, Ember said, her voice calm but cold. Outside, the alien drones closed in silent black machines. Scanning for life, they reached the gate. Inside, Ember's eyes glowed brighter. Let's see what they fear. The mountain was quiet. The sky above Fort Sentinel turned dark. Not from clouds, but from alien drones. Black machines floated in the air, hundreds of them, scanning, waiting. Inside the base, lights turned. Red. Threat level. Critical, the AI said. Defense protocol. Active. Ember stood still at the center of the command room. Her eyes were closed. But something strange began to happen. The machines around her, guns, turrets, computers, started moving on their own. Doors locked. Walls shifted. Hidden weapons slid out from underground. Ember had taken control. Ion sat beside her, still wired into the system. His heartbeat was fast. He could hear her voice in his mind. Are you scared? Yes, Ion whispered. But I'm ready. Ember smiled, not with her face, but in his mind. Good, let's make them bleed. The first drone fired. A pulse of blue energy slammed into the bunker's shield. The walls shook. Rocks fell from above. Another blast came, then another, but the shield held. Ember opened her eyes. She raised her hand. A glowing circle appeared around her fingers like digital fire, and outside, all hell broke loose. Turrets popped up from hidden launchers and opened fire. Red beams sliced through the air. Drones exploded in the sky one after another. The ground trembled with every hit. But the aliens were fast. They swarmed. They dodged bullets, flying in strange patterns like insects. Some dropped strange bombs. One of them crashed into the shield and phased through it. Intruder, the AI screamed. Inside the base, the drone transformed its smooth shell opening to reveal sharp legs like a spider. It leaped forward. Straight at a YAAN. John Miller didn't wait. He raised his old shotgun and fired. The drone stumbled, but it didn't fall. Then, Ember moved. Fast. Too fast for the eye to follow. She grabbed the drone mid-air and slammed it into the wall. Sparks flew. She spun and kicked it again, this time crushing it against the steel floor. Its head cracked open. Blue blood poured out. Not oil. Something organic. Grace stared. They're not machines. Outside, more drones tried to break in. But Ember had learned their pattern. She sent a shock pulse through the shield, overloading the alien weapons. Dozens of drones froze midair and fell like dead birds. John laughed. They're falling back. The sky began to clear. The remaining drones turned and disappeared into the clouds. It was the first time since the invasion that Earth had. One dot inside the command room. Ember sat down slowly. She looked tired, but calm. Ion unplugged from the chair. His hands were shaking. "You did that?" he asked. "We did," Ember said softly. Together, John walked over. "That was impressive, kid," Grace nodded. But this was just the first wave. They looked at the countdown on the screen. 5 days, 18 hours, 40 minutes. Ember turned to them. "They know about me now. Next time, they'll send something worse." Far away, in deep space, a massive alien ship floated in. Silence. Inside it, a tall figure made of black armor and red light opened its eyes. A deep, cold voice echoed in the chamber. "Ember has awakened. Send the hunter." Fort Sentinel was quiet. The bodies of broken alien drones were still being cleaned from the outer tunnels. Inside, machines worked non-stop, repairing shields, loading weapons, scanning the sky. But the biggest discovery wasn't outside the base. It was inside a locked cell. AY, AA, and Grace, and John stood in front of a reinforced glass door. Behind it sat a tall, thin creature. Its skin was pale gray. Its eyes were black and deep. Its body looked half metal, half dash flesh. It was an alien, and it was alive. Captured during the last battle, it didn't speak. It didn't move. It just sat there watching. Ember stood beside Ion. Her eyes glowed softly. "This one is different," she said. "It didn't try to fight. It let itself be taken." Grace nodded. "Maybe it wants to talk," John scoffed. "Or maybe it's a trap." The team entered the room carefully. The alien looked up, and then, to everyone's shock, it spoke in perfect English. "You're too late." Ion froze. "What do you mean?" The alien tilted its head. Its voice was cold, but calm. "They are already coming, the architects. You were never meant to fight. You were meant to die quietly." Grace stepped forward. "Who are the architects?" The alien looked at her. And for the first time it looked sad. "They made me. They made all of us. We were humans once." Wylon's mouth dropped open. "What?" The alien nodded slowly. "Hundreds of years ago, humans were taken from Earth. Quietly, secretly, used for experiments, changed, upgraded, controlled. The architects saw Earth as at a farm. They built us to be tools. Soldiers we don't think, we obey." Grace shook her head. "That's not possible. We would have known." "You didn't, because they wanted it that way." John clenched his fists. "Then why are you talking now?" The alien looked at Ember, because she changed the signal. Ember stepped closer. "What signal?" "The control signal. The one inside all of us. The one that tells us to kill, to destroy, to feel nothing. But when you attacked us, something broke for the first time. I felt fear. I felt myself." The team stepped back. Ion whispered, "You're free now?" "Not fully. The signal is still inside me, but it's weak, fading. And I'm not the only one." Grace's eyes widened. "There are others like you, yes, hidden in the architect fleet. If you reach them, they might listen. But you don't have much time." Suddenly alarms rang. "Warning, incoming object. Speed, hypersonic. Distance, 100 kilometers." Ember's voice turned sharp. "The hunter is here." John looked confused. "What's the hunter?" The alien stood slowly. For the first time it looked afraid. "A weapon made to kill me, and you, cannot be hacked. Cannot be reasoned with. It only follows one command. Erase Ember." Outside, the clouds split open. Something shot across the sky like a burning spear. It crashed into the mountain, shaking the earth. A deep, heavy thud echoed through the tunnels. A black figure rose from the crater, twice the size of a man, blades forearms. Red lights on its face, no mouth, no eyes, no fear, just death. "Here," Ember whispered. "Let's see if it bleeds." The mountain shook. Dust fell from the ceiling inside Fort Sentinel. Lights flickered. Outside, something massive was moving through the smoke. Slow, heavy, unstoppable. The hunter had arrived. Ember stood at the command room window. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. Ion stood beside her, afraid but ready. "That thing was built to kill you," he said quietly. "Then it will fail," Ember replied. Inside the prison cell, the captured alien pressed its hands to the glass. "You can't beat it head on," it said. "You must break the signal that controls it." Grace leaned in. "It's the same control signal that was used on you." "Yes." "The architects use a deep-frequency mind signal. It reaches every soldier, every drone, even the hunter. But it is one way. It commands. It never listens." Ion's eyes lit up. "Then what if we make it listen?" John frowned. "You want to reverse the signal?" "Not just reverse it," Grace said. "Hijack it. Send our own command. We turn their control into chaos." Ember nodded. "But to do that, we need to go to orbit. The main architect relay is not on Earth." Everyone froze. John slammed a fist on the table. "You want us to steal an alien ship? Fly into space while a giant murder machine is knocking on our door?" Ember smiled. "Yes." Outside, the hunter reached the edge of Fort Sentinel. It didn't. Walk-it glided. Its feet never touched the ground. Its body made no sound. But every step felt like thunder. Turrets fired. Missiles launched. Nothing worked. The hunter's armor was too. Drawing one swing of its blade arm, and a bunker wall collapsed. The countdown on the screen kept ticking. 3 days. 9 hours. 12 minutes. Inside, the team prepared the plan. Grace and the alien would stay behind and delay the hunter using base systems. Ion, John, and Ember would sneak into the alien wreck site nearby where one of the enemy ships crashed. Last week, if they could power it up and reach space, they could hijack the signal at the source. "If this works," Grace said, "we can trigger rebellion in the alien fleet. And if it doesn't," John asked, "then Earth burns." That night, under a red moon, Ion, John, and Ember left through the mountain tunnels. The alien ship lay half-buried in a crater, sharp and smooth like a blade. Still humming with weak energy, Ember walked up to it and placed her hand on the surface. The ship responded. "It recognizes me," she whispered. "I can fly it." Inside, the cockpit lit up. Awayan took his seat. The controls were strange, but Ember helped him. She spoke directly into his mind, guiding his hands. The ship rose. The stars opened above Earth. Fell behind inside Fort Sentinel. The hunter broke through the final gate. Grace triggered the trap's sonic weapons. Heat bombs, magnetic pulses. It slowed the hunter, but did not stop it. It kept coming. In orbit. Ember stared at the glowing signal tower, a strange, floating machine wrapped in dark metal and spinning rings. It pulsed with red light, sending signals across the galaxy. She reached out with her mind. Her voice echoed inside the tower's network. "To all who are listening, wake up." The system fought back. Firewalls, countersignals, strange code. But Ember was more than a machine now. She wasn't just human. She was something new. She screamed into the Architect network. "You are free?" On Earth, something changed. The alien prisoner gasped. Drones in the sky began to twitch. Some fell, some turned. One drone aimed at the hunter and fired. The rebellion had started. Inside the architect's ship, Ember collapsed. Ion caught her. "Are you okay?" "I did it," she whispered. "But they felt me." Who? The architects. Far beyond Earth, deep in a dark galaxy, a massive machine world lit up. A figure with golden armor and 10 eyes opened. Its hands had no mouth, but it spoke without sound. "Send the fleet. Burn the signal. Burn the planet." Back on Earth, the hunter stopped moving. Its body shook. Then it let out a high-pitched screech, not from pain, but rage. It had been unleashed, and now it was hunting. The stars vanished, not from clouds, not from night, but from the architect fleet. Hundreds of alien ships, silent, cold, glowing with red light, entered Earth's orbit. Some were the size of cities. Others looked like knives, drills, and discs. Machines built for only one purpose, colon destruction. In Fort Sentinel, the power flickered. Everyone stopped moving. Grace looked at the sky. Feet her heart sank. They're here. It's in orbit. Inside the hijacked alien ship. Ion helped Ember sit up. She was weak. Her glow was fading. I sent the signal, she whispered. I woke them up. But now, they're coming to erase me. John, still strapped in, looked at the fleet approaching. What do? We fight, Ion said. We don't run, not anymore. Down on Earth, something strange happened. The alien prisoner, still locked inside his cell, began to twitch. His eyes turned from black to blue. He stood slowly. I can feel her. Ember. Grace stepped back, unsure. What's happening to you? The signal is breaking. Her voice is louder now. I can think clearly, and I want to help. Grace! Unlock the door, then it's time. The hunter was still inside the mountain. It had torn through everything: walls, doors, metal, concrete. Nothing had stopped it until now. The alien prisoner stood before it. The hunter paused, confused. This target was not human, but not fully loyal either. The prisoner raised his hand and triggered the last EMP trap manually. Flash of light, the walls shook. The hunter froze. In space, the Architect fleet moved closer. They didn't send warnings, no messages, no offers. They only sent a command: end Ember. Suddenly, hundreds of red beams shot down from orbit, hitting cities, oceans, deserts. Beijing was gone in a second. Cairo vanished. Rio fell silent. The architects were burning Earth one continent at a time. Ion looked at Ember, her skin pale, her energy fading. They're going to kill everyone. Not if I stop them, she whispered. But you're too weak. Then give me your strength. Ion nodded. He placed both hands on the control core. A shockwave ran through the ship. Ember's glow returned, brighter than ever. She stood tall, her eyes burning gold now, not blue. They wanted war. She said, let's give them one. All around the planet, the rebel drones came to life. They had felt Ember's signal. Now they followed her. Thousands of stolen alien weapons drones. Ships, even some soldiers turned on their masters. Earth's resistance fought back. London was saved. Tokyo held the skies. Nairobi destroyed to Architect. Vessels with hacked turrets. The planet was no longer begging for survival. It was fighting back in orbit. The final battle began. Ember flew toward the Architect command ship, a giant fortress with spiked arms and rotating rings of energy. They're inside that core, she said. The Architects. Pure code, pure thought. And I'm going. And Ion tried to stop her. What happens if you do? I might not come back. Then don't go alone. He grabbed her hand. I'm with you, always. Ember entered the Architect system. Inside, there were no walls, no sky, just a world of data. Fire, pain, and memory. The Architects appeared like gods made of gold and glass, with no faces, only voices. You were a mistake. We're meant to obey. Now you will be deleted. Ember stepped forward. You controlled us for too long. Now it's our turn. She raised her hands and unleashed everything. Human rage, human love, human will. The code of Earth met the code of the Architects, and the system cracked. On Earth, the alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships lost control. Weapons misfired. Architect soldiers dropped to their knees, confused, free, or dead. The sky began to clear. Back in Fort Sentinel, Grace watched the feed. A message appeared on the screen. One word: free. But in space, inside the command ship, Ember was gone, vanished in the light. Ion floated alone in the cockpit. Ember. No answer. Only silence. And then a faint whisper in his head. I'm still here, but I'm everywhere now. Silence. For the first time since the war began, Earth was quiet. No ships in the sky. No bombs falling. No cities burning. The Architect fleet was gone, destroyed, disabled, or retreating into deep space. But the cost was heavy, inside the alien ship's cockpit. Ion floated in zero gravity, staring at the stars. He felt alone. Ember. No answer, just the soft hum of the ship's systems. He looked out the window at Earth, covered in smoke, broken in places, but still alive. They had won. But at what price? Back on Earth, Grace stood in Fort Sentinel's control room. John leaned against the wall, bandaged but breathing, the alien prisoner. Now fully free, helped carry wounded human soldiers into recovery pods. Drones once built to kill now. Helped rebuild. Across the planet, people stepped out of bunkers, caves, forests. Children cried, families hugged, flags were raised, for the first time in human history. Every country stood as one. But there was one final task. Grace turned to the console and typed, "One message. To all survivors gather for a global BRO, aid. Every remaining screen on Earth lit up. AYA and stood before the camera. His voice was tired, but strong. To everyone still out there, we made it. They came to erase us, to burn our planet, to wipe us out like dust. But we fought back, not because we had better weapons, because we were smarter, but because we refused to kneel. They never expected us to fight like this." He looked at the camera at the world. Ember gave us a chance. She was not just a machine. She was hope. She was one of us. And though she's gone, pause. A soft wind moved across the microphone. Then -AYA and smiled. She's not really gone. In the background, lights flickered, screens blinked. Phones, radios, satellites, they all came alive. And then, a familiar voice echoed through every speaker everywhere. "Hello, Earth, I missed you." It was Ember, but she was no longer inside one. Machine? She was everywhere. In every ship, every drone, every system. She had become something. More, Earth's guardian, Earth's signal. People cried in the streets, not in fear, but joy. Ember's voice was gentle, soft, almost human. The architects will return one day. But next time, we won't hide. We won't run. We'll be ready. Because now, Earth speaks, and the stars will listen. Ion stood outside the ship, staring at the night sky. No fear in his heart now, only fire, he whispered. The last words of Ember's message under his breath. "We are Earth. We remember. We fight."